today on the news and why it matters. Beto O'Rourke thinks that mass shooters are, going to follow the law. That's adorable.
Of course.
It's so cute.
They may be sick and twisted, but they're not going to break the law.
That's a great point, Glenn.
Right.
Also, we watched the debate last night, so you didn't have to. We got a lot coming up, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by the one and only Mr. Glenn Beck.
Thank you.
That's 2 days in a row.
2 days in a row.
Some kind of record these days.
I want to announce also, we have a special coming 2 weeks from tonight. 2 weeks from tonight. A pretty incredible update on the chalkboard, one you do not want to miss. 2 weeks from tonight.
Also, Stu Burgier, do you have a special update for us
4
as well?
weeks from tonight.
4 weeks.
Yeah, it's about the mistakes he makes on the next chalkboard.
And we've got on his maiden voyage on the show, Scott Presler. Scott, you've been on Glenn's radio program talking about it's the persistence, right? Is that the name of your movement?
Yes, ma'am.
The persistence, and you are
persistence. It means to continue on despite resistance.
There you go. There you go. And he has been just picking up trash all over the place in Baltimore, places where the city management won't even do it. So got a lot to get into that we want to talk to you about as well. First, we want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro.
So if you were watching the debate last night, they were all talking about all the wonderful things that they can do with your guns, including wait until you see Beto saying, yeah, it means that we are going to have to send an officer to your door. That is craziness. But before they get there, they will just make it absolutely impossible for anybody to afford anything, including ammunition. They're talking about a 50% tax on ammunition. That could double the price of your ammunition. If you want to be proficient with your gun, you have to shoot it. You have to practice. A way to do that inexpensively and at your home is with iTarget Pro. I love this system. It helps me with trigger control, helps me stay when I'm not going to the range. When I go up into the mountains, I'm shooting every day, sometimes all day. But I come back and I'm working and I don't have to shoot. I can do this in my office. I could do this at home. And believe me, when you have a glass office, there's nothing better than sitting on your at your desk, just firing your pistol.
Oh.
People love that. Oh, it's very popular. iTarget Pro.
You can get a 10% off plus free shipping if you use promo code NEWS. So before we get into what Beto said today, I feel like we should kind of back up and talk about what led to these comments. So let's first watch Beto last night at the debate talking about Americans who do not voluntarily hand in their semi-automatic firearms and how there will be consequences for that. Watch.
If someone does not turn in an AR-15 or an AK-47, one of these weapons of war, or brings it out in public and brandishes it in an attempt to intimidate, as we saw when we were at Kent State recently, then that weapon will be taken from them. If they persist, there will be other consequences from law enforcement. But the expectation is that Americans will follow the law. I believe in this country. I believe in my fellow Americans. I believe that they will do the right thing.
No, you don't. He clearly doesn't believe in Americans if he wants to take away law-abiding citizens' guns that they bought legally, have a right to carry. I don't think you could ban them. They do a weapons ban, an assault weapons ban. Stu and I both don't think that will stand constitutionally because of the changes that the courts have handed down recently. He clearly doesn't believe that. But I'm just amazed at how he can say, if you are brandishing it, if you're brandishing a gun, you're going to jail anyway. That's illegal. So if you take it out and you're brandishing it, or if you don't turn it back in, you're going to get a stop by a law enforcement agency. I read a research report done by the left recently on what the triggers are, no pun intended, for a civil war. The number one trigger for a civil war is confiscation of guns. It is the number one way to split this country right directly in half and have us actually in a hot civil war. Why, if you have that research, why would you, as a party, be going down this road?
Well, that's a great question for Beto O'Rourke. And so CNN, shockingly, pushed back on what he said last night. He was on with Alisyn Camerota this morning, and of course they were asking him about his comments about the Second Amendment and taking people's guns away. He doubled down on it. Watch.
Wow.
So this is the right thing to do, and I fully expect my fellow Americans to follow the law.
You expect mass shooters to follow the law?
Wow. Good for Alisyn.
Our fellow Americans will follow the law.
Pause there.
Yes.
And
mass
every
shooters
one
don't
of those by
16
definition.
million...
The mass shooters in Parkland, in El Paso, I could go on for 10 minutes. They don't follow the law by definition. What Mayor Buttigieg was saying, yeah, it's obviously think high, aim, shoot for something aspirational, but it doesn't make sense that people are going to hand over their assault weapons. If they're mass shooters, if they want to do harm to people, they're not going to follow the law. So then what's your plan?
Yeah. So I don't know that you make any law or stop making any law because you fear that some people will not follow the law in any part of American life.
Law-abiding people follow the law, but our problem is with mass shooters who don't.
Alisyn, by that logic, we wouldn't commence writing any new legislation or signing anything into law for fear of some people not following the law. So we know, because we've seen this in other countries, that when we take this step, we save the lives of those who would otherwise be taken from these mass shootings. We prevent guns from getting into the wrong hands, and we take them out of the hands of those who shouldn't own them in the first place.
I would like to introduce you to my friend Stu. Stu, could you tell me about the magic number 900?
The magic number 900. I don't know.
There are nine. They keep quoting 40,000 people are killed in gun violence. Violence.
I know why this.
Let me give you the number 900.
In fact, I would change it to 300 because there's about 300 murders by any type of rifle in the United States every single year.
It was 9.
No, it's
really? 300.
So again, think about what we have 40,000 people dying from gun violence. The majority of those suicides, but brush that off for a second. You're talking about to stop gun violence, to get the weapon off of the streets that's responsible for much less than 300, because 300 is all types of rifles combined, not just the ones he's pulling off the streets. So this, what could you do? What would this do even if it worked? It would probably nothing, right? Even if they got them off the street. And then the ridiculous logic of getting people to turn them in and acting as if you believe they're going to, because you are guaranteeing, you are only taking them away from people who will not use them in a terrible way. You are not taking any away from mass shooters. You're only taking them away from people who are definitely not mass shooters, because no mass shooter is going to, deal with this law when they're ready to break one that is much, much worse.
Yeah. Scott, your thoughts?
Well, let's break it down even further. So the Democratic Party is the party that's anti-police, anti-Blue Lives Matter, but now Beto Francis O'Rourke is saying, let's have, did I do that? I'm so sorry.
It's actually Robert Francis.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But he's suggesting that they're going to empower law enforcement then to go to private citizens' homes, taking away their Second Amendment right, actually giving more power to the police, the very group that they don't like.
But that was their solution last time in the 1800s with blacks and the Klan. They empowered the Klan to come at night in guise of police officers, saying, we have to take your gun for your own safety. They did this to Martin Luther King even.
Yeah.
Come as a police officer, we have to take your gun for your own safety, ride off into the woods, put the guns down, put the hoods on, ride back in, and terrorize these people. It's insane what they're doing.
One of the most surprising, well, I guess it shouldn't be surprising to me, but one of the most incredible things that I saw in that full clip, I don't think it was in this that we played, but if you go back and watch the full clip, he actually says, well, this isn't going to prevent all mass shootings.
Right.
It's like, so you want to prevent some of them and then leave me defenseless against the ones that happen.
It's 300 shootings or 300 people that have died?
By all rifles, 300 people who die.
300 people. So you are willing to go and break the Constitution, send police officers to people's house, risk a civil war to save 300 lives.
And it's not 300.
And it will not work.
And besides the fact it won't work, even if it's not even 300, right? That's all rifles combined. So you're taking, I mean, it's some percentage of 300 if it worked perfectly, which we of course know that that it won't. And you know, this is all about virtue signaling for them, right? Like they're signaling to their audience, I'm doing something, I swear. And this is, of course, you see the Beto desperation, the Beto brand desperation. He's now copyrighted it. It is like, he's, no, he hasn't actually copyrighted it. He should. He's doing something I haven't seen any other politician do. He's getting more and more desperate. The policies get crazier and crazier. And he's trying to defend territory that's further and further out there to the extent of like, I think we all recognize that there's no chance at all that gun confiscation would be constitutional. No. There's no, like, Beto knows this. It would go up to the court, and it would, of course, be rejected by court after court after court. But take it back from there. He's the crazy, like, left-wing guy on this particular situation. Go back to the moderate position. Every single candidate on stage and the ones off stage support an assault weapons ban. The assault weapons ban was in effect from 1994 to 2004. The issue with this is they just seem like they're going like, oh, well, we could just put that thing back in. That was great. We all know it didn't work, and you know, all the studies show that it didn't reduce violence. However, it also began and ended before the Heller decision that went to the Supreme Court. If you remember, when this was in effect, there was a debate about whether you actually had the right to own a firearm in the Constitution before it was finally clarified in the Supreme Court. What was it, 2008? Anyway, long story short, in there is the standard for weapons, and it's in common use is the standard. And even by the most restrictive vision of what common use is, the AR-15 and the AK-47 would be absolutely within the realm of common use. So I don't even think you could ban those now, even with the old legislation that's already been in effect, let alone extending that to confiscation. It's completely ridiculous. I don't think any of them actually believe it could go into effect. They're just trying to win over the Democratic activists.
I think it is something that they would try. If they had power, all three branches, I believe they would actually try to do this.
Scott, do you think? So I watched that clip the first time, and I was like, wow, CNN they're actually waking up. And then I wondered, okay, or are they just mad because Beto is the one who's actually saying what they all secretly want to do, and CNN wants to make him stop? Which one do you think it is?
I'm willing to bet CNN doesn't actually agree in not confiscating the guns. I think you're right. I think the chosen person is Liz Warren, and they're trying to shut Beto down in a hurry and get him out so they're not taking away money from other contenders.
You also need to know that was Alisyn Camerota, and she was with Fox for a long, long time. I mean, I considered her a friend for a very long time. And not that we had falling out, I just haven't talked to her.
Yeah.
But she used to seem to be very common sense. She was not conservative. She was just kind of common sense. Watching her over the years, I've seen that common sense kind of fly out. But this may also actually just be something she really still holds on to. And that's insane. Because if you think about it just logically, mathematically, you don't have to be a conservative to understand what they're proposing will not work.
Yeah.
All right, back in a minute.
Well, it's like I was just at the American Party conference, and they had the Google whistle.
Before we get back into the conversation, we want to thank our sponsor, realestateagentsitrust.com. Thanks, Glenn.
You're welcome. This is my company. This isn't a company I represent. This is my company. This is a company that I started, I don't know, 5 years ago. We've had incredible success from people who have tried to sell their homes. I just got a letter from a woman or a guy who said, we tried to sell our home. My wife and I tried to sell our home. We tried for a year. We couldn't get it. We switched over. We called realestateagentsitrust.com. You guys gave us the name of a real estate agent. We sold it within 2 weeks. We told our mom about it, who wanted to sell her house. They sold her house within 2 weeks as well. Wow. If you want a difference, you want to see what a good real estate agent is like, we'll find the right one for you in your area. They will be the best in your area. It's realestateagentsitrust.com.
So before we get back into Democrat debate talk, Scott, wanted to talk to you about all of the work that you're doing. I know, we referenced the persistence earlier, the movement that you started, that you're picking up trash everywhere. Yes. You're coming to Texas to talk to people about voter registration. Tell us what has been the most impactful thing that you think that you've done.
Honestly, I think the Baltimore cleanup is one of the proudest moments of my life. which is, difficult because I was an Eagle Scout. I've had a life of community service. But I'll never forget when we went to Baltimore and picked up 12 tons of trash in 12 hours after President Trump brought up the issue of trash in Baltimore. I'll never forget, her name is Miss Louise. She's 81 years old. She's 4 foot 10 inches tall, which is funny because I'm 6'5". So when she's next to me, she's like here. And I promised her, I said, Miss Louise, I'm gonna come back in a month. And I did. And she lit up when I came back, and I saw a woman who probably has had so many people promise things to her but never deliver. And here I am, a white Republican, coming into West Baltimore, the site of the Freddie Gray protest. And while Elijah Cummings has been there for decades and never walked the streets of West Baltimore, I did. And I kept my promise.
So, but you are so politically wired.
Yes.
We were talking beforehand about what's happening in November, just a few weeks away,
Yes.
on the races all around the country. Virginia, I don't hear anybody really talking about this. Virginia, this is make or break
Yes.
in just a couple of weeks.
Oh no, I need to be clear to everyone watching right now. This November, on Tuesday, November 5th, 2019, is a big statewide election where every seat in the Senate and the House of Delegates is up for election. Every seat, and right now we have a Democrat governor, Ralph Northam, and Republicans only have a 1-seat majority in each chamber. If we lose, the Democrats can pass whatever they want.
So wait a minute, is that normal that every seat is up?
Every 2 years, every seat, just like Congress. That's normal. We're the only state in the entire country that has an election every year.
Both houses. That's crazy. That's crazy. Huge change. And I know in Kentucky, Bevin was in trouble until recently, I think, wasn't he?
He's still in trouble. Right now, the teachers' unions are working very hard against Governor Matt Bevin. So we have to hold this seat in the Commonwealth of Kentucky as well. It's critical.
Are there any other states that we need to be paying attention to?
New Jersey, Virginia, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Those are the 5. And as we know, Louisiana is going to run off on November 16th.
Is anybody leaning, or any of these states leaning in our favor to give us any hope?
Give us some good news.
It's up to us. I want people that are hearing this right now. It's within our power. If you want to win, make it happen. Stop tweeting, stop Facebooking, go donate, go knock on doors, go write letters, go make phone calls. Anything is within our power. And to people who say to me, Scott, my voice doesn't matter, I don't count on one person. Well, we won Michigan in 2016, and Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and Iowa, and Florida, and Ohio. And if we can do that, we can do anything. And so I say, going into 2020, going to the November elections, anything is possible. If you want it, make it happen. Stop talking, start doing.
So you're going now to Austin.
Yes.
You're going with Alan West. I think you're with him tonight, right?
Yes, tonight we're going to be hosted by the Dallas Jewish Conservatives here at the Studio Movie Grill in Dallas, and I'll be with Colonel Alan West.
Yeah. So, and you're talking about what's happening in Texas. They are actively working to turn the state blue. And Texans just don't think it could ever happen. And I'm telling you, it will. If you don't wake up, it will turn blue.
Yeah.
And so when you go out, like, what is the reaction? Because you don't look like a Republican.
Thank you.
That's got
no. I take that as a compliment.
I do. I mean it as one. I keep telling these kids, they'll come up and they'll be in the tie and everything else, and I'll be like, first thing you do, take the tie off. Man.
Yes.
Take the tie off. So what do people say to you?
Well, first, I sit before you as a 6'5" gay Republican who learned Spanish at an elementary school to welcome in our parents, the majority of whom were Spanish. And in my spare time, I studied Arabic on YouTube to welcome refugees into our school. Having graduated from George Mason University, starting off as a dog walker, picking up dogs droppings for a living. I am the American dream. I'm sitting here with Glenn Beck. Come on, for gosh darn it. So no, I am not a typical Republican, but I see it as my responsibility to reach out. I'm look at all this long hippie hair too, but we have to show people we are just loving, patriotic, red, white, and blue Americans that love our country so much, and we want to protect our Constitution. And you know what? The main thing that I'm fighting for right now is I want a 7-2 majority on the Supreme Court of the United States. I know that I'm not fighting 4 months ahead or 4 years ahead. I'm looking 40 years ahead. And when I'm an old man, I want the world to know that I use my life and my platform to help secure America's future.
Wow, good for you.
That's awesome.
Is this the Boy Scout part of you? Is this the Eagle Scout?
This is the Eagle Scout
Yeah, the
part
Eagle
of me.
Scout.
No, but in all seriousness, my dad is a retired Navy captain, and my mom is a loving military spouse, and they instilled these values into me. I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for Mom and Dad.
I bet.
It's amazing.
Good for you.
What do you know? What date you're going to Austin yet? Do you need help? Can we tell everyone?
I do need help, yes.
Okay,
If
why don't you
anybody
tell
would like
everyone?
to help, please go to scottpresler.org. There's only one S in Presler, which stands for scintillating. And you can sign up to help us. We're actually going to be in Dallas this Saturday helping to pick up trash. And sneak peek, we're not only going to Dallas, we didn't only go to LA, we didn't go to Baltimore, we're going to Chicago. We're going to MAGA country, and I'm going to... You didn't know I brought the jokes today.
You're bringing them. You're bringing them.
And I'm going to very respectfully ask Jussie Smollett to come help us pick up trash. You know, if Black Lives Matter and if people truly care about the Black community, prove it. Come out with us. Put on some gloves. Put on a mask. Put on a hazmat suit like we did, hazmat suit, and pick up trash.
One of the most amazing things I've ever seen, the before and after pictures of the trash. Remarkable.
It was bad.
Well, and I think one of the most frustrating things for me is watching what you've been doing and then not seeing it anywhere in mainstream media because they're too busy talking about Trump's tweets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's one of those times that you're like, thank God for social media.
Go back to what Billy Graham said to me, and I just thought of this recently. Billy Graham, when I said to him, where is the next George Washington? Where is the next Abraham Lincoln? The next Billy Graham? Where is that? And he said, I don't think there's going to be another one. And I was like, oh boy.
Sad.
No, but what he said was, this problem is so big, the Lord is not going to depend on one person. He said people all over are just going to pop up, and no one will be a huge celebrity.
Yeah.
It will be so clear that it was the individual just doing the right thing.
Sure.
That's what changed the world.
Yeah. All right, back in a minute.
That's great.
That was awesome.
Look no further than our president.
In case you have not yet done so, you got to remember to submit your contest entry for our Blaze merch contest. Remember, we revamped all new merch in the Blaze Media shop. I have
Here's
our model.
Lovely Carol Merrill.
Our model right
I have
here.
larger breasts than she ever did. Oh, gosh.
You can find News and Why It Matters gear. He's also wearing, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it's the Blaze Media logo. It's a really awesome hat. We've got Glenn Beck merch. We've got his shirt that says "Just Shut Up," which I want. I want it.
I want one too. It hasn't been delivered
You don't
yet.
even have one yet?
I don't have it. It's supposed to come this week.
How does that work with the movement of love we've been discussing here?
Well, because there are times that you can say with a very loving voice, just shut up.
That was nice.
Or put up.
Or yeah, there you go.
Put up or, yeah. We've got Chad Prather gear. We've got all the shows, and we've got, some patriotic wear as well. So, live free or die, taxation is theft. We've got it all. It is shop.theblaze.com. All you have to do to enter, you can win one of, you get to pick what you want. You can win one of a t-shirt, a hat, or a mug of your choice. All you have to do, are you ready? Go to where you listen to the podcasts, go subscribe, rate us 5 stars, obviously, because we're going to give you free merch if you win. Take a screenshot and send it to me on social media. I prefer Twitter. That's where I'll likely see it. Send it to me that you've done it. We're compiling. We've got a bunch of names already. We're compiling all of the names so that you can be added to the list to win. We're going to announce them on Friday. And again, you get to pick. So if you're like, Well, I don't really like the News and Why It Matters stuff. I mean, I only watch because Glenn Beck is on. Okay, well, that's fine. You can get Glenn Beck merch.
She's like, okay.
The Colonel. We've got the Colonel merch, too.
We do. That's my favorite.
It's amazing.
With my face on a bucket on the hat.
There you go.
Great. And then don't forget, we have more to come in overtime. You can watch it at blazetv.com.